welcome to episode 3 of Tiger Takes. We're so excited to welcome Clemson student athlete Dominic Cardone with us today. And you're actually our second offensive lineman that we've had on the show. Our first episode, we had Eric McLean on, and he was great. And he loved talking about being an offensive lineman for Clemson. So we're just super excited to have you, and thank you for being here.
For sure, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So I want to start off. I know you have a pretty interesting story, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously you just finished up with Clemson football and now you're working with recruiting as an assistant. And so I would love to start by just like kind of having you give us that story. I believe you came to Clemson originally just as a student. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you just worked your way onto the team. So I would love to know, like, what was that experience like for you? What all went into that? Because I can only imagine how much went into that. And just like, what was that call like? And, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Greer, South Carolina. I went to Riverside High School, and my whole family went to Clemson. So I knew when I was born, I was coming here no matter what. Um, and was always a football fan. You still won't find a bigger Clemson football fan than me. So honestly, I was able to live my dream. But the goal was to always play college football. And going through high school, kind of a couple things happened that kind of hindered that process. While also in the back of my mind, I knew I always wanted to graduate from Clemson as a student. So in high school, kind of had, I think, three concussions, and my last one knocked me out cold. So it was really um, kind of a scary injury history. And then I also hurt my foot, like a little bone on my foot my senior year, and then played through that. So coming out of high school and well, really my junior year, with COVID kind of messing recruiting up for the whole world, I kind of shifted to the mindset of like, you know what, like I love football, but my body is like really taking a toll. And so I just want to go to Clemson like as a student, get my degree and graduate. So this guy I used to play football with, like Pee Wee named Sam Judy, kept up with him, and he went to my rival high school, and he actually walked on to the team as an offensive lineman a year before me. And so when I saw that he had gone through that process, I was like, man, I got to Clemson as a student. I was like, you know what? Like, I really miss football. I feel like I could still play at, a high level. And so reached out to him, talked to him, and um, kind of through just a couple conversations, he kind of laid it out, the groundwork for me, and like how everything would go down. And um, the big picture view is tried out three times, and they wanted to take me each time, but due to roster limits and everything, it didn't work out. And then the third time, they were like, all right, you're good to go. We'll start you in January. And so, January of my sophomore year, I started and then working out of the team and then went from there. But I mean, I can say with 100% confidence that if Sam Judy ever sees this, I would not have made the team without him. And honestly, looking back on like my football career, I'm not going to the NFL, but I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Getting to play for my dream school, um, dream coach, dream team, and being a part of an ACC championship and going to the playoffs and just everything that came along with it, I wouldn't have changed it for the world.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
what was
sorry, CJ. I just
sorry.
wanted to ask, like, what was kind of like with that process, just getting back into football, what was kind of that process like, just getting physically and mentally ready for that?
Yeah, so of course, physically I kind of always like stayed in shape because the first trial was kind of like right when I got to school my freshman year. So I was prepared for that. So physically I was kind of ready. Mentally, of course, is a different challenge because I mean, you know, I was recruited and, had offers to play at smaller schools, and kind of my senior year I went from like an average football player to an above average football player, I would say. I was all state and like county offense lineman of the year and things like that. And so I kind of like became a better player than I thought I was, honestly. And so mentally I knew that like I could compete, but at the same time, you walk into the indoor facility and you look up and you see guys like Dexter Lawrence on the wall, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. You're just looking around like, man, like this is insane. This is like some college football, like all time, like goats, honestly, on these walls. And so walking in there, there's a lot of stress and like it's very daunting and very scary. But at the same time, it was a confidence and belief in myself and God that honestly got me through it.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, what was your reaction like when you finally found out that you made it?
Yeah. So basically, when you have a tryout, they send you one of three things. They tell you made it, they tell you made the inventory list, or they tell you you didn't make it. And so I made the inventory list the first two times in the first two tryouts, which was the fall of my freshman year, spring of my freshman year. And the inventory list basically means like, we liked your tryout, we want you to be on the team, but there's like not a roster spot. So if that happens, like we'll call you. And so both of those times that happened, it was honestly really frustrating because like I feel like I performed good enough and they agreed, but then the roster just wasn't open, and so it was really out of both of our controls. Then the third time, I was actually sitting, I think it was a statistics class, and I was kind of just like not paying attention and like texting, and I get a text from Mike Dooley, he's player ops, and he's like, "Hey man, like just left you a voicemail, give me a call," and like my heart literally dropped. I was like, "No way!" And so. Like I literally like get up and run out of the statistics class and like call him back and he's like, man, like I know you've been working really hard, like be consistent, like we can't wait to make this happen. And so um yeah, so he told me that and he was like, we're gonna start you in January and then we'll get going from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
That's
bet your
great.
parents were thrilled to hear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I probably called 150 people that day.
Yeah, I
It
don't
was
blame you.
crazy.
All right, I think Keegan,
Yeah,
are
I think
are you asking?
you're gonna go.
I'm just gonna ask something, but go ahead.
Okay, so obvious. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, before tryouts, does the coaching staff let you guys know that there's limited spots on the roster, or you guys don't know until after tryouts?
Well, so that's a good question. It's honestly, I want to say that it was different for every tryout because obviously they have their roster, full from people they recruited and like throughout the year. So really like when you go into a tryout, there may be like two spots or no spots. And in my instance, there was two spots when I made it, and it was me and a punter named Will McCoon. And the first two tryouts, there actually were no spots. And so it is a very interesting process because and it's a very like niche process because not a lot of people go through it and make it and just going through that like there's not a lot of people to get advice from because nobody really goes through it. And so I would say that I think you have a pretty good idea of like the spots that are open and where you stand. Once you get in there, you can kind of get a vibe of like who's looking at you, who's talking to you, things like that.
Okay, well now you are obviously a recruiting assistant. I just want to know what kind of does like your day-to-day like job operation like tasks look like? Like what are you like responsible for doing? And like what do you look for when you're recruiting players?
Yeah, so honestly, if you look at the resume of a recruiting assistant versus the day-to-day, um, it's you couldn't even put it on there. There's literally like it's as simple as taking paperwork to a coach's office, putting it on his desk, all the way to calling coaches in California to see if we have information right, to watching film, breaking down film, cut-ups, everything, giving campus tours. It's a very all-encompassing term of assistant, honestly. You really are there to assist in whatever is needed to be done. And it's really interesting because you get to work with a lot of people from all over the country and do some things that kind of go behind the scenes that like nobody would even know. Honestly, I didn't even know where the recruiting room was when I was playing there. And so, you know, transitioning into this role, it's really cool to see how the behind the scenes helps the whole team come together.
That is really
Yeah,
cool. You're just kind of all over the board with everything and like your tasks and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And also just how important is like when you are looking for a player, like is like their social media and like their like reputation within that when you're
Yeah,
looking for
for
players.
sure. So, can't spill all the secrets, but social media is definitely something that is looked at for sure. And not only just for like who they are, how they act, what they say, what they do, but also, like updates on like visits, things like that. And so that's looked at honestly every day. And it is really important because um when you can't talk to someone every day and see them every day, like that's the person that you are to people when you're not face to face is your social media. So it is definitely an important factor in recruiting for sure.
Do you have people that monitor that, or is that kind of just part of your job as well? Like
Yeah, so I would
monitoring
say
it.
all the assistants monitor that for sure. Can't go into specifics, but it's definitely an every like day to day, week to week thing for sure on all keeping tabs on everybody.
Very
yeah.
nice.
I was
That's
just gonna
all I
ask you,
had.
yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, with the transfer portal, is there like separate like recruiting assistants for that, or do y'all deal with the transfer portal and high school kids?
Yeah, so obviously, mainly high school. It's been high school for 40 years, but the transfer portal is also a big part of it. It's kind of to answer your question, yes, and we are a part of it.
Yeah,
There's also other people. There's not separate assistants, but I would say the transfer portal is driven more by the coaches, I would say, and some like higher up directors because whereas in high school recruiting, you're kind of looking at all position groups, everybody across the country, and transfer portal, you know what position you're looking at, what you want, the pedigree of a transfer portal profile, I would say. And so that's kind of driven more by like the coaches, I would say.
yeah. And has that affected like how many high school recruits you guys take? Like, well, yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely does affect it. I think the way college athletics is now, to answer your question, it for sure does affect it, but also like the way people move schools, the way people climb the ladder and like this and that and draft and staying 6 years and this and that, it's just very subjective.
Yeah,
There may be a year where not even just Clemson, but speaking for everybody, like a team feels good about who they have on their roster, and so they don't take guys. There may be a year where 30 people graduate or go to the draft, and they need to fill spots that they couldn't even fill from high school. So it's kind of just very subjective, honestly.
yeah.
Um,
All right.
do you think it's more competitive to recruit high school students due to like NIL deals and revenue sharing than players already in the transfer portal?
Yeah, I probably can't go into too many specifics about that, but I would say that's always a factor. And you're not only competing against players, but you're also competing with other schools, and there's so many factors that go into that. But um, I haven't known my role without NIL, so I can imagine the differences, but that is definitely a factor for all sports and all teams.
Yeah, I think we saw that kind of with the Luke Ferrelli situation, but I don't want to get too into that.
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
gonna ask,
that was crazy.
yeah, what are your professional goals down the line? Like, do you see yourself still working for Clemson in years to come, or
Yeah, so obviously it's cliche, but my whole life has been football. I've been playing since I was 5, and so that's what I know. I know it like the back of my hand, and so the ultimate, goal job would to be a GM of an NFL team, and scouting is kind of the route I see going into that, and so that's kind of the path I'm trying to take, and this role it really helps with that on a resume, and I have really good connections and mentors, and honestly, the best references you can have is like Clemson football.
oh
Coach
yeah,
Kenny, he's got some of the most like pull of anybody in the world, honestly. And so, I would say I have a really good, um, kind of like career progression, then I just kind of got to take the steps to get to where I want to be.
All right, Keegan, you can ask your question.
When you were a current student athlete, what do you think were some of the hardest challenges of being a student athlete?
Yeah, so obviously, balancing school, practice, work life, everything like that. That's really difficult. But at the same time, I feel like when you have a structured environment of like you have practice every day at the same time, you know the time that you have set aside to do your schoolwork. And honestly, it comes down to like you either do it or you don't. There's not really time to procrastinate. It's like you have the time to do it, so you do it or you don't. And so I would say that's the biggest um that's the biggest struggle. It's also, you know, there's levels to it, with the fan base and everything, when things are going great, it's definitely easier to walk around campus and things aren't going as good, You hear things in class and you see people that say things and give looks and stuff. So that's not always the easiest, but also it comes with the role. And so those things are kind of hard, but at the same time, like it's expected. At the end of the day, like I get to wear a tiger paw on my helmet, so I can't really complain about anything.
Definitely,
Do
I
you
like
think
the way
you,
you look at that.
yeah. Do you think you had more free time as a student athlete or now with being a recruiting assistant?
Definitely more free time now for sure.
Yeah.
The recruiting assistant, you kind of are able to work around your class schedule. It's not necessarily like a set amount of hours.
Mhm.
But believe it or not, I actually think I was a better student by a little bit when I was playing football because I was able to have such a structured environment. Like the time to
Yeah.
procrastinate goes out like the window, so you just have to do it.
You had to. You work better under pressure, I guess.
But yeah, for sure.
I wanted to ask you because you mentioned, like how people can act when things, aren't going well or,
Yeah.
team isn't winning. With social media, were you kind of like required to kind of be away from that and be off of that to avoid that negativity at all?
Yeah, well, so it's always encouraged. There's definitely social media rules set in
Mhm.
place by, the team and people on the team. And so there's kind of boundaries to what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like people have apps on their phone and it's a matter of if you click it or not. And I know that I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't on social media and wasn't reading the things people said, but at the same time, like I feel like when you mature a little bit in your career, you kind of realize that like the things those people say really don't matter. And I know that sounds cliche, but they really don't. And so I definitely, coming as a fan, like I followed all the same accounts that, you know, talk about Clemson anyway. So I would see it just trying to look at Twitter for my NFL like news and stuff. I would see the other stuff. And so it was definitely hard, but at the same time, like comes with the territory, honestly.
Yeah, and I think too, like with having like, both of those sides of it, do you think it's kind of easy for you to take things personally as an athlete in that sense?
I think it is, but you also have to look at it from the standpoint of like athletes, especially on the non-professional level, college are like these are real people. Like you may see something and like from like a non-player perspective, like you may see somebody talking about so and so is this and this and this and this. And then it's like well, I see that. I'm like, okay, like, I eat lunch with this guy every day and like know his friends and family and like he's one of the best people I've ever met. And these people just like hate his guts online. And so it's definitely um it's definitely really interesting for sure.
Did anybody have any other questions?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, we're gonna do like kind of a fun segment and we call it
Cool.
like on the take. And so we're basically just gonna ask you a question and just random answer. But our
Yeah.
question was All circumstances disregarded, if you could play any other position in football, what would it be and why?
100% wide receiver. Like
Why?
just like I play catch with my roommate probably 3 times a week. We literally just go and like throw the football around. And I watch him in practice. I'm like, man, like all day y'all just getting to like go catch like footballs and like I would love to do that. And I don't know, I feel like I got good hands, but I don't got the speed or
No,
nothing
receivers,
else.
Hey,
I'm going to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
yeah, you got the hype for it for sure.
Yeah,
What are
that's
you,
true.
six
That's
nine?
true. 6'10", yeah.
That's
Wow.
cr
Way
that's
too
crazy.
tall.
You should have played basketball.
No.
Yeah. Oh,
Should
basketball's
have asked
not good
that.
on my knees.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dominic, thank you so much for being here and just talking with us. And we really appreciate it and wish you nothing but the best and hope to keep in touch with you.
For sure. Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
Yeah,
It was
thank
you
you.
so
Thank
valuable.
much.
you.
For class material, we're going to be talking about sports talk radio broadcasting. And so I wanted to start this conversation off. Obviously, we know what sports talk radio is. I think we've all kind of grown up with it and just that realm of broadcasting and sports. And so, how do you feel like it's enhanced kind of the realm of fan engagement? It can be positive or negative. I feel like it brings people closer. People are allowed to have pretty genuine conversations, especially on radio. There's not a lot of like, conservative talk on there. So that would be my opinion on that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely positively enhanced fan engagement just because
Yeah.
I mean you can call in and
Yeah.
speak your mind. But I mean it can also be negative, just like if you have random callers just saying like nonsense, like I don't know. But I definitely feel that it enhances your own engagement with sports, just because you get to state your own opinion to people that you listen to every day. So
Right.
I completely agree because with the amount of access that you have to being able to like directly like talk to someone like that, it comes with the good and the bad of having obviously a good experience and a good conversation, and then the bad experience, someone like maybe dogging on someone else or an athlete
I was
in
gonna
that
say too,
sense.
like, yeah, when you say that, like the first thing I think of is like Tyler from Spartanburg, just like when he
yeah,
called it on this show and just like went on this huge
Yeah.
rant. Like it was kind of positive because they started winning after. So I mean, was it negative or positive? I don't know. Dabba
yeah,
didn't let
like
it go.
some people don't need a platform, you know, but I
Yeah,
guess everyone has one nowadays. So
yeah.
I'm gonna say positive from what I've like learned in class and what you guys talked about. I really wasn't into much of sports talk radio. My mom wasn't into it, so I really don't know much about it. So I would just watch like regular sports broadcasting on TV. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's really entertaining though. Like I
It's
love just like
entertaining.
hearing people just like argue with the people on the radio and stuff. It's great.
Were your guys' experiences like sitting in the car or like did your parents actually sit there like in the house? Mine was like in the car, just
Yeah, mine was in the car too.
sitting.
To be honest, my family didn't listen to much like any of like sports kind of like broadcast things or anything like that. Just
Yeah,
being real, I don't know.
Yeah.
We would pretty much just watch my dad's games if like we weren't able to be there and then just listen to the
yeah.
commentator for that. But I was too
Is
young to
that like
know
a
about
reason?
it.
Is that like a reason why you guys maybe
Sorry.
didn't listen to it as much? Sorry, Keegan. Did you hear my question?
What'd you say?
I said, like with your dad playing and everything, do you think that was kind of a reason why you guys weren't really into it, weren't really listening to radio broadcasting and things like that?
I mean, maybe because like he was a great player, obviously in my
Yeah.
opinion. He played for 15 years and he was
Yeah. It's long.
good. But obviously there are gonna be people that have things to say about it and like
Always.
the teams and things like that. So I guess that's why
Uh-huh.
my mom just tried to like keep us away from it. I don't really know. We also just were not like a big sports family. Like we were like it sounds silly, but we were more focused on because there were so many of us, like all of us as siblings like playing our little like rec league
Yeah.
sports or whatever because that's just what took up most of our time going to all of our little games and stuff like that. So, I mean, that might sound stupid, but yeah,
No, no, you're
we were
100%
No,
just
that
too
makes
busy. My
sense.
mom was too busy with our
no,
kids
it's
to listen
perfect
to
sense.
all the crap people have to say. But can we go to our next question? Our
Yeah.
next two questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Do we feel personal connections when it comes to sports talk radio broadcasting? Because radio does a good job of allowing people to have conversations and to like be themselves and give their honest opinions.
I mean, like, kind of to go off what we already said, obviously, I would say yes. I think, it's just a fun thing to listen to because the conversations are so authentic and like not as scripted and not having to be conservative. Like, obviously, like they had that kid on from Philly where he was like about Kevin Patullo like flipping burgers, like it was so funny. And it's just like they're not really gonna put that on TV or like, real formal types of
Yeah.
broadcasting. I mean, that's why I love it personally.
Yeah, I feel like it's like more laid back. And like if you like for me personally, I've like grown up around here, so like with 105.5 The Roar, like I know like I've listened to the guys for like a while, so I guess I have that personal connection. So like since it's local and it feels more personable.
All
Do you
right.
guys
And
want me
then
to
the
give
next
my opinion?
question.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Lauren.
Oh,
I
sorry.
was gonna say, I wasn't gonna say anything because I was like, I don't really listen to much of that
No, that
radio,
it's
but like
fine.
from like other radio like channels that have heard, like the morning radio shows, I do think it gives people opportunity to talk about conversations that you wouldn't usually talk about on a network show because they might think it's too controversial for what's going on. So I do agree. Like they have a more personal connection on the radio show.
And then speaking of like the radio shows, what are the sports talk shows that y'all remember growing up on or like radio shows? You could name them.
Gosh, I mean, I don't really remember exact names, but like I know we talked about like the original like Philadelphia WIP, so I think I grew up on that one. Philly Sports Talk Radio, it's like all Philly sports every single day, so that's kind of what I remember growing up on.
Yeah,
I
I
grew
just
up on. Oh, go ahead.
no, you can go.
I grew up on the Breakfast Club or the Steve Harvey Morning Show, like with nephew Tommy's like prank calls.
Yeah.
So those were like my things growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say 105.5. What about you, Keegan? Well, I guess
Keegan
you
probably
didn't really
doesn't
listen.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can name, which I may not even be like the right thing that I'm thinking of, is literally just the MLB network. If like my
Yeah.
mom would have it on, or like if my dad was like something. Because obviously, when my dad gets a choice of what he wants to watch on TV, it's pretty much baseball all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. And then when it comes to a
And
sports
then,
talk radio show, sorry, did I skip over?
No, you're good.
Okay. When it comes to a
no,
sports talk radio show, what aspects of the show are important to you as a listener?
I think kind of the things that we talked about already. I think just anything that's being authentic and genuine. I think it's refreshing to hear those type of conversations. So, I mean, that's going to be important to me and that's going to get me to listen as a listener. And again, obviously the drama, if there's somebody snapping on a call on a radio, like we're all going to listen to that. So, I mean, I think aspects like that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
I
like the
think the
drama,
same thing
but
with that, like the real.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Were
yeah.
CJ.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say like the drama is like good, but like when it's like only like screaming matches like all the time, it like gets to a point.
Yeah.
Like as long as they're actually having like good conversations.
Yeah. Sometimes it's too much.
Yeah.
I feel
Lauren,
like the screaming matches, it kind of makes it feel like fake, even if it
Yeah,
is real.
exactly.
Because it's just what like, people want on real TV.
I
Like I like
I
Yeah.
kind of
think
like it, like especially. Oh, sorry, sorry, I'm just trying to get my.
you're
No,
good.
you're good.
You can go, Lauren.
okay, I would say the topic of that discussion for that day and when they have their opinions, but when the callers can call in to give their opinions on the situation, so you can hear different point of views and how each person views it. So I think that's my favorite part, aside from the drama.
Yeah. All right. Well, I
Yeah, and also like I was just gonna say also like if it's I don't like it when it's like super biased. Like you don't want to hear
yeah.
the same opinion over and over again.
And like I can see what you
But
mean by that too, because again, like when I grew up on Philly sports radio, it's a lot of overlap of just like people talking about Dallas. I'm like, I don't want to hear about
yeah,
Dallas on a radio show in
yeah,
Philadelphia. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like
yeah,
Yeah.
I can
exactly.
see that too.
I just like it when they give like their like real opinion about stuff, even if it's not like a radio show. Like I think back to like watching some what do they call it, like press clips or something from like after like football games of like Kate talking or Dabo talking, them being like, you know what,
Yeah.
it was a bad game. We had bad whatever defense, offense. It's been a rough season, and they actually like say something other than like, oh, it's just one of those days.
Yeah.
Like they just give like their real genuine thoughts on it.
That's yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Same.
Yeah, well, I think that concludes episode 3. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see everybody for our last episode.